House of Representatives has adjourned for the day after a wild process where Republican leader Kevin McCarthy failed to secure enough votes to become the House Speaker. 3 different times. This has not happened since 1923. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Pete Sessions of Texas. He voted for McCarthy on all 3 ballots. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. I'm wondering if you are in a place where you're starting to think there should be a different candidate, not Jim Jordan, not Kevin McCarthy, somebody that the entire, or at least 218 of you, can coalesce around.
Well, I think that's a conversation that's taking place about how do we get out of the mess. And I think how do we get out of this is a question that comes about as a result of a desire that the 20 people have who are solid in their belief that they would want something that they could count on, something that they can not just take back home, but know that the American people will have a solid understanding that they will achieve the things that are important to our party, but also these 19 people. So I think that is why we are in adjournment. I think that is the conversation that's going to take place tonight, and then it's to be seen what happens.
Allies of GOP leader McCarthy say he has acquiesced to almost everything he could give these rebels, changing the rules, making it easier to get rid of the speaker with a motion to vacate on the floor, making it easier to bring bills to the floor of the House for amendments and the like. You just heard maybe former Congressman Mulvaney say it's not up to Kevin McCarthy or any speaker to promise people that they'll be on certain committees. That's for the entire Republican caucus to vote on. And some of the questions are, why won't these rebels take yes for an answer? But it doesn't sound like that's what you think. It sounds like you think they need more and they should get more.
Well, I think that, peeling back the onion, you see that there's much more behind that. And I think the problem is agreement about what the agenda will be. A question about, as a Texan, we are concerned. I voted for Kevin, would be for Kevin. We need a speaker. We need to get on with the majority. But I think that there are conversations that these 19 people have about the resolve, about cutting a deal that would be less than getting what they want and need. And I think it's resolve is what it comes down to. I think that's their sticking point.
I guess one of the other questions I have is, let's say we've heard a number of times from Chip Roy earlier, but also on the floor from Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise about some of the issues that are important to conservatives, to Republicans, to Texans, to Americans in general. Let's say border security, which is obviously a humanitarian crisis. Let's say the fentanyl problem going on in this country, which is horrific. Whoever is Speaker of the House, and I don't know, I can't imagine that a Speaker Jim Jordan or a Speaker Scalise would be demonstrably much different from a Speaker McCarthy, but whoever it is still going to have to deal with the fact that Senate Majority Leader is named Chuck Schumer, not Mitch McConnell, and the President of the United States is named Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. So whoever the Speaker is, compromises are going to have to be made, no?
Well, Jake, you're a savvy insider. You know this. Article 1, Section 7 comes into play with a new fiscal year that is not until October. So the things that happen then would be where we would negotiate that. But there's much to be done between now and then. And I guarantee you it is hardball, and it's hardball directly at this president and directly at this administration. And I think that cooler heads can prevail about how we peel back that onion. And there would be room to understand if we could get a solid agreement on a border, we could certainly do something about this fentanyl issue. We could do something about all the cities. Hundreds of cities in this country are having problems directly because of the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And this needs to be resolved for the country too. So I think there is room. I think there's room. It will require someone that wants to go and actually play hardball, and that's what these 19 are doing.
Am I reading you correctly that it sounds like your mind is open for how you're going to vote on the 4th ballot?
Well, once again, Jim Jordan voted for Kevin McCarthy. It's going to take Jim Jordan to see some bit of light about what he sees a pathway is of what this is about. Kevin McCarthy voted for Kevin McCarthy. Jim is voting for Kevin. So I think until people come with a clear sense of what is it going to take for us to get to 218, we're going to be in this sort of round robin. And that's what I think this cooler heads will prevail tonight to clear people up on where we are and what it's going to take.
All right, Congressman Sessions, so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.